I'd like to welcome you all to our Utah Tech online workshop, Make Canvas Work for You, Simple Ways to Improve Your Course. Thank you for taking a few minutes to be with us. It's good to see all of you. I know several of you. I'm Dr. Terry Brandenburg, the manager of Online Teaching Advancement, and I'm pleased to welcome our presenter and facilitator for today's workshop, Sarah Peterson. Sarah Peterson is a learning designer for Utah Tech Online. She's originally from Boulder City, Nevada, and Sarah earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Humanities and French Literature from Brigham Young University. She also earned a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Social Studies Education from Utah Valley University. Before coming to Utah Tech, Sarah taught English and World History at a charter school in Linden, Utah. Sarah first became interested in creating effective online courses when she worked as an instructional assistant for the large section classes of the History and Political Science Department. I assume that was at BYU?
I was at UVU.
UVU, okay.
hmm
Followed by a crash course in adapting her in-person high school classes that she taught for an online format during the pandemic. After seeing the unique challenges that online learning brings to education, Sarah has since dedicated her career to easing those challenges to make online learning an effective and engaging format. And so Sarah today will share some practical low effort strategies that will help you organize your Canvas courses to make it easier for your students to navigate and make it easier for you as well. But it'll be nice to make sure your course is organized so that your students always know where to start, where to find materials, and what to do next. So we'll go ahead and turn the time over to Sarah to lead our discussion about making Canvas work for you, simple ways to improve your course.
I was going to start this workshop by asking if you have ever received an email from a student that they could have answered if they had spent more than 2 seconds looking. But then I thought that is the most redundant question I could ever think of because I'm sure you probably have at least 3 in your inbox right now. And so this this workshop, this presentation, my goal for us today is to kind of work through some strategies for making Canvas do that heavy lifting for you. We're not going to be focusing too much on any sort of learning strategies or anything like that, because my goal is for you to be able to put these into practice with as little effort on your part as possible. I know that y'all have many, many, many hats that you wear. And so we want to try and streamline this as much as you can. As we're going through, please feel free to ask any questions or leave them in the chat. And then we'll kind of move forward through here. I'm just going to start by sharing my screen. And it's not a Zoom conversation if I don't narrate that I'm sharing my screen. Ultimately, the main piece that I want you to take away from this presentation, and this actually works for online courses, but also for in-person courses as well. A lot of these strategies that we're going to talk about today, they will work in person and they will also work online. Hopefully, these strategies will be ways that can serve you no matter what format you're delivering your course in. But the key principle that I'm hoping that everyone takes away is that the navigation of your course should not be the hardest part. We know that students don't take very long to figure stuff out. We know that if it's not right there in front of their face, best case scenario, they're going to send you an email. Worst case scenario, they're just going to try and figure it out, maybe probably more likely give up. So we're going to step into our students' shoes for a minute. Full disclosure, I have taken and modified a variety of different courses. This is not supposed to be representative of, oh, look at this terrible job that this one instructor did. These are just common trends that I see across multiple courses. And so this isn't to point any fingers at any one person. Okay, so I'm a student. I'm logging into my course. I go to the home page and okay, this is what I see. If you are a student and this is what shows up first, what are you going to do? And you can chat it, you can say it, whatever you think.
The course just looks like a lot of tests.
Yeah, if I'm a student, that is exactly what I would think as well. Oh, okay, so I see that I have a lot of exams, but I don't know anything about how to prepare for it. That would freak me out. Alyssa says, I wouldn't know where to start. I feel the same. If I was a student, I would think, okay, I'm glad that I know when these exams are going to happen and when they're due, but I don't know how to learn from them. I don't know what to expect from them. So
I'm
let's
just going to click on exam one. That's what I would do as a student. Oh, let's see where this goes.
Yeah. And
Well,
that's, oh,
I
please.
also see that there's 2 exam ones, two exam twos, 3 exam threes. So I would be very confused about that. I thought there was a lot of exams, but now it looks like there's 4 exams. I don't know.
Yep, that's an excellent point. In this screenshot, I did take it in instructor view, so which does show, you can kind of see that it's got one student for, ooh, okay. One student for the different exams. We know as instructors that that probably means that there's an accommodation. But if that wasn't clear, a student might reasonably think, whoa, which one am I supposed to do? I don't even know. Excellent. Okay, so we're in this same course, and let's pretend that I'm actually a proactive student. And I think, you know what, maybe I better look in the modules. Maybe I better look somewhere else. Like, just because there's just a home page doesn't mean there's not something else. Okay, so I go to modules and nothing. Okay, I'm still engaged. I'm still excited. I still want to take this course. So maybe I can look at announcements. Okay. I see that my instructor has announcements. That's helpful. It's got a little bit of a section that says, okay, here's what is going on the first day. Still not feeling very confident about it. So let's start there. Okay. So when you are designing a course, you want your students to be able to know without any shadow of a doubt what you want them to do first. And a homepage can be an excellent way for you to do that. It has one job, and that is to tell your students where to start. We are going to look at an example. I just took, English 1010, and then I just adapted it for these purposes. But you can see in this course, if you are a student, I'm going to read it and I can see right at the front, oh, I know what to do. I can click this button that says start here. I know what the objectives of the course are supposed to be. I know what I'm going to be expected to do in this course. And equally importantly, I know who my instructor is. One piece that can be really tricky about online teaching is that interaction is not the same. It is a lot less organic than in an in-person experience, which can be frustrating for everyone involved. So even having just this small blurb, this little bio of here's who I am and here's what I can do, and here is what you can expect from me, that goes a long way for students. You can see that this homepage serves as a landing page for the very beginning. Start here. It's got the syllabus, it's got the modules. Other instructors have also chosen to add things like links to the library if your course is research heavy, or if there is an OER that you're using quite frequently, maybe you might include a link there. But your homepage should serve as an effective way for students to know how to start and then what they should do after that. So let's do this. Let's go into Mr. Feeney's class. Let's listen and start here. Okay. And we can see that this getting started page is just going to be a very, very brief, very quick overview about what they can expect in terms of this course structure. So it's different from the syllabus. I don't need to talk to you about syllabi, y'all know. This is going to serve a different purpose. This is like, I think of it as the trailer to the course, right? Coming this semester, and just giving them the quick dirty, easy things that they need to know about to get started in this course. And these are really simple, just Canvas strategies, navigation, adding a profile picture. And then in this course, it has a link to the syllabus next because we want them to see the syllabus. One thing that actually I would recommend that this instructor do, which they did not do, would be to explicitly tell them, okay, now read the syllabus. It's implied, right, that there's this little button that says, okay, let's click the syllabus next. But as I'm sure you have experienced, students tend to do better when they have explicit instruction. This would especially be true if your course does something like a syllabus quiz or an acknowledgement, I have read and understand, that kind of a thing. This course does have something like that, a little syllabus acknowledgement, but as far as I'm aware, it's just like a CYA situation. So as you are working through, whether it's summer courses or fall courses coming up in the next couple of months, first thing, make sure that your homepage tells your students how to start. Now, I don't want you to be overwhelmed by the visual design of the example that I showed you, because the visual design, while it is fun and it is helpful, it's not the most important part. If an instructor had all of the information from their homepage clearly laid out using headers, especially for accessibility, that also works. It's fine if you don't have a beautiful banner. It's fine if you don't have these cute little icons. As long as the information is front and center and easy for them to access, it's not the most important aspect for their understanding and their learning. This slide here just kind of shows some of the elements that we looked at in the sample. You want to make sure that your homepage has at the very least an overview, contact information, including how long they can expect before getting a response from you, and then quick links. Everything else after that is just kind of extra, kind of like sprinkles on a cupcake. And so just to kind of add on to the getting started page, another option that you might take would be to give them a day one itinerary. And that is going to look different depending on your course level, depending on if your students have, if it's reasonable that they might have had you already in a course just based on your program. You'll want to tailor that to the level of the student and to your course. But whether or not this is their very first college course or if they are working on their master's in healthcare administration, still, we want them to know here's what you need to do on the first day and the first week, ultimately. Do we have any questions or any experiences, anything that y'all want to share about homepages in general?
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
It's in regards to the textbooks for the class, and if they're an ebook and if they can be purchased ahead of time. I haven't heard you mention anything about getting materials ahead of time. Can you speak to that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So you can technically, and actually, Scott Allen and any of my colleagues in the learning design environment, please correct me if I'm wrong here. But you can make the course itself available in advance. You can publish it early so that they can see it, and in that way they would be able to access those materials. If you are concerned about, let's say, integration, like it's like one of those textbooks where it's got activities and everything, some textbooks will offer sample chapters or something. It might be worth sending one of those out in an early announcement, if that makes sense. You can say, hey, here is a sample that we're going to be working on, but you need to make sure to have access, whether it's by, because some programs will do it where it's just paid for with the course fees, and others they have to go and find it themselves. I would say that it's more important for them to know what that process looks like if they are going to have to go and purchase the code, the access, whatever, as opposed to when they are directly integrated into the course. I hope that answered your question. If not, no problem.
I would also
Okay.
just add that coordinate with the bookstore and make sure everything is set up correctly to, if you are on the day one access or inclusive access, that the students will have access beginning the first day. We always have problems at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah, that's an excellent insight. Thank you, Scott. So our next tool that we're going to use is modules. If a student, the guiding principle for modules should be if your student can understand or can learn the first module in the course, then they should be able to anticipate the rest of the course. If they've got module 1, they're good. And that's going to save you a lot of time and headache in the future because, again, you're not going to get those emails of, wait, where's the textbook? I don't remember how to get to the thing. Ugh. You can tell I feel passionately about this. All right. So there are a couple of different options that you have for organizing modules, and ultimately it's totally up to you. The key is just consistency. If you want to organize it by theme throughout the entire semester, that's awesome. We love that. If you want to do it by week, again, awesome. We love it. But what we don't want is to have any sort of confusion or any sort of difference, if that makes sense, as much as possible. You don't want to have one module be like a month long and then one be a week long. You want to try and keep it as regular and ordered as possible. One tool that I personally really like to use when I'm building my modules is the text headers, just to kind of give them a clue in module view what they are looking at and what they can expect throughout the rest of that unit. This page here kind of shows you an example of what that might look like. So you might have a text header with the learning content, and then the readings of the videos or whatever activities you're asking them to do. And then they have another text header beneath that says, here's what you need to complete. That signals to students, you've got essentially 2 tasks to do, learning and doing. And then they will be able to see at a glance what that looks like and how that's going to work together. Another strategy that we recommend is to use unit overviews, and whether that is, again, weekly, thematically, doesn't matter, but again, just kind of like a mini preview. Here is what you can expect for this module, and it can be super dry. It can be, again, I think about it like a trailer. This week, you're going to have to read this article and this chapter, and then you're going to do this discussion board, and then this quiz and this assignment. You're previewing that for them before they even get started. It's going to answer a lot of their questions. Yeah, let's look at Mr. Feeney's class so that we can kind of see an example of that. So Mr. Feeney, he's got his modules. Oh, here, we'll be a student. And you can see every single one. There's the title, there's an overview, there's the learning page, and then the tasks. So if I'm a student, I can reasonably expect that every module, I'm going to have to go through this overview page, which we'll look into a little bit more depth on the next section. And then I know that there's a learning page, and I've got 3 assignments that I got to do this week. You can use like a standardized naming convention if that's helpful to you, but ultimately, what is important here is making sure that it is standard across your whole course. It's not mixed up in a whole different format throughout the semester. Okay. Are there any questions about modules or organizing or anything like that?
Oh, excuse me. I have one.
Yeah.
This schedule here, is that something that is that like a a widget that Canvas has built, or is that something that you would need to assemble yourself on each?
So you have a couple of options. This one right here with the links to the assignments and everything, this is a third-party tool. You technically have access to it. It's not automatically enabled just because many instructors don't want to play with the design tools. But if that is a tool
Is this
that
in
you're
the design tools?
Yeah.
I love the design tools.
Okay, yeah. So in design tools, it is just this one called progress indicator. And then there are a lot of different options. My favorite, and again, this is ultimately personal preference. My favorite, which is the one in the sample, is this module item details because it will, again, show them the links, shows them the sequence of the events just right there in the preview. But there are other different styles that you can kind of look around at and play with. If you are interested in having something similar, but are like, oh, I don't want design tools, please leave that alone. Don't touch me with that. You can also do it just by making a table at the bottom of your page. The downside to that is that you would need to update it if anything changes. But if you don't anticipate it changing, or if you feel I've got a good vibe and I can just like the week before make sure that all the links work, that also totally works too. Yeah.
Tiffany Harding answered, how do we get design tools? If you're in any Canvas course that you are an admin of that you can edit, and you're editing on any page, once you're in edit mode, you do a series of hotkeys. And for I actually have my notes in my office, and I'm working remote today. So is it Option Shift D as in dog, Scott?
Yeah.
Or Alt
I know that
Shift
for a
D
Mac.
if you're on a PC.
And then Rick, you're saying Alt Shift D on a PC. Okay. So for PC, yeah, go ahead and we'll put that in there as well. Yeah. And you can do that and try that out, today. The application itself, the company that we've purchased this tool from has instructional videos, but any one of your learning designers here in this meeting or later would be happy to sit down and kind of coach you through using this tool effectively as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Terry, thank you for sending that support article from City Labs. Oh, you guys, I have the best team. You're the best. Okay, wonderful. Excellent questions. Let's move on to pages. So this actually ties in really well to conversations that we have been having for the past, few months about accessibility. Organizing your pages so that they are easy to scan and easy to understand and easy to predict. That's going to help you not only with reducing those emails, but also with increasing your accessibility score in your course. The general rule of thumb for any sort of a page, whether it's a learning page, an assignment page, a quiz page, you want them to be able to find the information within about 10 seconds. Otherwise, you're going to get that email. Oh, Mr. Stewart, when is that essay due? Here is another example of a course. We're pretending that I am opening up a different course, and I see, okay, this looks better. This has modules. I can see due dates right there in the bottom. I know that I'm going to have some milestones and a quiz in every every unit. That's nice. That's nice and consistent. That's really helpful to me. But if this is an introductory level course, which it is, I don't know how to do any of this. So as a student, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, whoa, what do you mean I'm going to have to define and start a final project before I even know what I'm doing? What are you talking about? What do you mean that I have to do this quiz? Now, again, I'm a resilient student, so I'm going to click around a little bit. I'm going to see what I can find. And so I'm going to just click that milestone number 1. Let's see what happens. Okay. So in that assignment, I've got all of the learning materials that I need. That's good for me. But if I was a less resilient student, I might think, well, how am I even supposed to know what to do? I'm just not going to. I'm just not going to do this. I don't know how to use this. I'm just going to quit. And that is unfortunate because nobody wants that. Student doesn't want that. Instructors don't want that. Nobody wants that. So let's kind of go over some quick, easy principles that you can implement to make sure that that happens less frequently. All right. So when you're looking at a learn page, we always would encourage you to start by explaining why this matters. Whether that is, why does this matter for your future career, or how is this going to matter to you in future assignments? The more explicit you can be about that, the more students are going to be like, okay, this is worth my time. Students are very wary of doing stuff just for the sake of doing stuff. And honestly, from my perspective as like a designer, it helps me to think of, wait, why do I want them to do this? Is this actually going to help them, or am I just doing busy work that then I'm going to have to grade and then I don't really care about later? The more clearly you can articulate that, the better experience your students are going to have. Another principle that we want to encourage when it comes to learning pages is, if it is possible to avoid an external link, please take it. Like classic example is YouTube. If you can embed the YouTube video directly onto your page rather than a link to YouTube, do that, because, and it sounds silly, but even small little roadblocks like that can make students feel like, I'm not doing it, and then they'll move on. Another recommendation that we typically give is, whether you're dealing with a reading assignment, a video, a lecture, slides, students need to know what they're looking at. When you're in an in-person environment and you're lecturing, right, you can and do highlight the main points. You can and do draw their attention to what you want them to get out of it. In an online situation, it's not as organic to do that. And so we would just recommend that you just provide them with really brief, they can be guiding questions, or as you're watching, pay attention to 1, 2, and 3, just to make sure that they know what they're looking for and that they are pulling out of the resource what you want them to pull from it. If you are pressed for time, AI can be a helpful tool for that. You can kind of work with ChatGPT or Claude or whoever you're working with to kind of make those specific to your course and also to the learning content itself. With assignment pages, again, you want to keep them as clear as possible in every way. Purpose. So again, why are you asking them to do this? What skills are they going to do? Are they going to demonstrate to you? How is this going to help them in their future career, especially? That can be really helpful in upper division courses. You want to make the instructions and their grading criteria as clear and easy to find as possible. Again, try to avoid having them click away if it's possible. If there are any resources that you want them to use, maybe you have a writing assignment and you want them to be able to quickly refer back to a citation guide. That might be a good or a natural place to put that. And then also, if you are working with an assignment that you have seen common pitfalls, common errors, common mistakes, you can address those here, so that, again, you're not having to give that same feedback, that same nonsense over and over and over again. And this actually will serve no matter what kind of assignment you're dealing with, whether it's an assignment, a discussion board, a quiz. The more information you can give right up front, the fewer questions you're going to get asked. This is kind of a little bonus for discussions. With discussion assignments, one kind of little tip that we will recommend is not only giving them prompts for how they should write their initial post, but also some suggestions for how they can reply to their peers. That can kind of help you avoid that spinning circle. I agree, that was a great point. I thought so too, because those aren't discussions. Those are just like pats on the back. But if you can give them some suggestions of even sentence starters, which is like the language of elementary school, but the principle is sound, it will help them to know where they can kind of take that response and how they can make the conversation move forward. Oh, also, I just learned this. You probably already did know, but as of a few weeks ago, you can finally add multiple due dates for discussion board assignments. So that's cool. It used to just be, Saturday, but then you'd have to make, in big, bold, rainbow colored letters, your initial post is due Wednesday, final post is due Saturday. You can do 2 of them now. So yay, thank you, Canvas. 10 plus years later. So this is kind of brings me to the end of this workshop. Ultimately, the principles that I'm hoping that you're taking away from is that if you can integrate these practices into your course design, whether it's in person or online, it will help them to work together and to basically answer the questions that you don't want to have to answer again and again and again and again. I have a resource for you. It's just a little PDF that you can download, and I will show you what that looks like here. And it's just got a couple of things for you. It's just a brief checklist to help you kind of go through as you're creating or finalizing your course, just to make sure that you have these in mind. So your homepage, make sure it's starting strong, let them know where to begin, expectations, keep your modules consistent, make your pages easier to read. And then on the second page of that PDF, we have some resources and some support for you. Everything that I have talked about today in terms of course organization is already been used to build some institutional templates that were built by a couple of my colleagues. You can, on this PDF, there are a couple of links directly to Canvas Commons where you can download those institutional templates and then just plug in your course content there. That way, it, again, kind of takes some of that burden off of you. You can take them as a starting point and then modify them as you need. You can even just use them as inspiration, but they are there and available for you. This link is just a help article from Canvas Commons about how to import that into your course. And as always, your learning designer can help you with finding it, modifying it, whatever you need. If you are interested in using or repurposing some of those banners that we saw in Mr. Feeney's course, we've got some links for you here. I got to give many, many thanks to my colleague, Katie Houghton. She is the one who made the large banners, and she is a queen, not only in visual design, but also learning design, if you are lucky enough to have her as your learning designer. And then if you need any help from a person, we've got some links right here for you. If you don't know who your learning designer is, or maybe you kind of know, but you don't remember their email, we got a link right there. Or if you have questions about course design on a larger level, or you're just like, I don't even know what help I need with, you can reach out to Huck Stewart right there. And also me.
Sarah, I'm wondering if you could show us how to access those institutional templates in Canvas using Canvas rather than the links that are.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super easy. So you can find those institutional templates no matter where you are, no matter which course you're in, as long as you're in Canvas. You just want to go to your left panel, and then you'll click Commons, which is right here in between History and My Media. And then it will think for a minute. And you don't even have to look for it. That's what's really nice. They have put the institutional templates right here on the front page. And so you can kind of look at them and see which one I like, which one I want to download. You can see there's also one that has a template to kind of make sure that you have all of the required elements of a syllabus. And once you find the one that you want and you want to import it, you can just click import/download. And then it will ask you which course or courses you want to import it into. You can see I have 5 million, but that's not normal. And then you just kind of search for the one that you want. Like, we'll say I want English 1010. Oh, there they are. And I can do both of them. And you click import into course. And then it's just like any other Canvas copying process, just takes a minute. And then it will be right there and ready for you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sarah will stay in the meeting room for a few more minutes to answer any additional questions that you might have. But thank you all again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.